Hey everybody, here's another match with Nevzing and Hardest. Same platoon as before, except this time Nevzing is in a KV2. This was actually from the same session as the previous replay. And we've ended up on a map that I'd honestly forgot was still in the game, Kamarin. Now, this map only pops for tier 6 and below, which is why I haven't seen it for so long. I seldom play below tier 9 anymore. And by sheer chance, over the past week or so of playing tier 6s, I had not seen it. In any case, we're now going to have to figure out what to do here. And so I decide I'll head up the east side, which seems to be a pretty solid strat. You have decent cover over there, and you aren't pushing across a bridge. Pushing west, you really take your life into your hands because the cover isn't so good once you get across the river. And the central island has some really, or not island, but the central area has some really good shots on you. It used to be an island, now it's just a causeway. Nev goes into the middle, traditional spot for heavy tanks of course. Don't know what that enemy KV-85 is doing, but it's not the best idea. And here I start looking for shots towards the middle. There's none forthcoming, so I push up a little further, looking to get on this hill here and use the terrain to my advantage. And then these guys appear, so I decide I'll stop and take a quick snapshot. That one misses. And so does that one. Hazards of using auto-aim on moving targets. Especially at long range. You can see here I'm angling to get a shot over the rooftop at the KV-2. Now of course that would have been much earlier if I'd just been in sniper mode the whole time rather than trying to hook one over in third person, but I managed to get 3 shots in the KV-2 and then a bounce before he can get a shot off at me at all, which is a good trade. I'll take it. Unfortunately, Nev goes down to the enemy KV-2 there, one of the 2 enemy KV-2s, both of whom are in middle. Looks like some of our heavies there, our other heavies, are not faring too well themselves. So I try and pop over the ridge and give them a hand where I get the chance. Now our team has pushed all the way down the east flank without making contact. You can see our T-67 is actually right on the enemy side of the river. And if you look towards the west, we actually didn't have anything push west at all. Nothing. Nothing at all has gone west. We still have a Panzer IV Schmalturm in our base, pretty much, in spawn, as well as one of our tank destroyers. Difficult to make out what that is on the mini-map. Target lost. The Electo, I think it is. Yeah, that's the Electo. So he hasn't pushed out a spawn either. Now Hardest has stayed back pretty far, close to our base, because he's in an Achilles. He can be reliably one-shot by 105mm guns. And looking at the minimap, I decide to head back to make a close defense of our base. I also have a much better chance of dealing with the ELC at close range rather than long range because he's just too damn small and too damn fast to hit from a distance. I'd also like to get away from that KV-2 in middle. Target unlocked. And so I roll back into our own cap looking for shots. Now the ELC is the big problem here because he has a really hard hitting gun, but he has difficulty actually hitting things with it because it's hideously inaccurate and has terrible bloom issues. Unfortunately for me, the enemies start taking my cover apart. I do get the shot into the ELC. I thought he was going to get one into me there, but the M4 managed to clean him up for me. Thankfully, I only take a little bit of damage out of that. There was a lot of incoming fire there. I'd imagine most of it from the Matilda, but most of it was bouncing. I put this small hill on my right side to give me some cover from middle. I do not want to be hit by a KV-2, but I take a risk and roll up onto the hilltop to take a quick snapshot at the passing Matilda, who moves so slowly that even auto-aiming I'm almost certain to hit him. Let's locate another target. Now he's the best player on the enemy team, closely followed by one of the KV-2s, the one that's still alive, the one that's in the middle. So if I can get this guy out of the fight, it will make my life a whole hell of a lot easier. I've just got to do it without getting shot by anything else, especially the KV-2. Now, for the moment, I'm just working my terrain behind this hill, and then this guy comes up. Oh god, I thought I was done here. The SU-100, if he has the 122mm gun, could have easily one-shot me on an average roll, even a low roll. Thankfully, the Firefly's extremely high rate of fire and high pen gun allow me to best him after his shot goes straight into the dirt, and it looks like he was indeed using the 122 there. I quickly clean up the Matilda with a bit of RNG, and so now the only real credible threat on the enemy team is the KV-2, who was last seen in middle and probably hasn't moved very far. Hardest gets rushed by the enemy T-67 and cleans it up. He holds the north, while I hold the west. Now I was looking for a shot here on the 85i after he took one at me. Unfortunately he gets unspotted here in a second. He has quite good camouflage. And so I begin to consider my options. Start heading over towards Hardest so we can support each other a bit better. But I'd like to get that T-28 out of action. Looks like Hardest has an angle on him though. And sure enough, he cleans them up. KV-2 now starts coming across. Now this is the second best player on the enemy team, the best surviving player on the enemy team. He's low on health, a high roll from the Firefly should one-shot him. I take the risk, roll up, snap a shot off, and almost kill him. Hardest gets the finishing blow. At this point we start to realise just what we've managed to do. We have 7 kills between us. And now there's just the 2 enemy tank destroyers left, the Su-85i, who we spotted earlier, and the AT-8. Now the AT-8 could potentially be a problem. He does have a fair amount of armor. We do have accurate high rate of fire guns that we could just snipe his cupola with, but he also has an accurate high rate of fire gun that will pen us like butter. It'll end up being a war of the 17-pounders. And so Hardest and myself group up and begin pushing down the 0 line, where we should have some defilade from the center of the map, and also a little bit of camouflage. As you can see, there's a nice little depression in front of me that I can use as cover off my left side, plus that large hill along the shore, which protects me from the island. As it happens, one of the enemy tank destroyers has got on cap, so both of us turn around, Hardest going for the ridgeline firing position the 85i was in, and he spots it. And then myself putting a house between me and him and going for the AT-8, who appears to be looking for our party. Hardest gets a track shot in, and I go for the fuel tanks and engine. Not quite sure what the AT-8 was hoping to achieve by driving up that hill, but I retrack him, and the 2 of us just take him apart.
Enemy vehicle destroyed.
I turn to go support Hardest against the Su-85i, but it turns out he's actually run around and come out right next to me. He was proxy spotted there. He snapshots and misses, although I would have survived that anyway, and gets dispatched. 9 kills between myself and Hardest. 2,500 damage on my part. I can't remember offhand how much Hardest got, but you'll be able to see it in the post-games anyway. This was a hell of a match to finish up on. The Firefly, when it's in a good situation like this, a situation where it's got some decent terrain to work and some decent support, it is an absolutely fantastic tank. And when it gets top tier, even against such scary things as KV-85s and KV-2s and Hellcats, it is absolutely wonderful. The gun just takes tier 6 tanks apart. Very rarely will you come up against something you'll bounce off of in a tier 6 match. Even a lot of tier 7s will fall victim quite easily to the Firefly's gun, and some good shot placement, maybe a little bit of APCR, it will happily deal with tier 8s. Anyway, that's cleared my backlog for now. I've got a couple of replays from other goons I'd like to record, so those will be coming up next. And then depending on how much time I get to play tanks over the next week or so, there may be some replays from me, or we may see 9.7 hit before I get any new ones out. Either way, thank you very much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I can't recommend this tank enough. And as ever, I wish you the best luck in the field. I'll see you on the next one.